Hello, my name is Jambareeqi, and joining me for an interview is John R. Dilworth. John is an animator and the creator of the wacky horror cartoon series Courage the Cowardly Dog. Thank you for joining me, John.
Yes, it's my pleasure.
Let's start from the beginning. What was your childhood like?
What was my childhood like? Well, I grew up on a farm, very much like the one depicted in Courage. And we had chickens mostly. We were raising chickens, raising eggs. And it is true, it's true. There's lots of rumors going on about that Courage is modeled after the dog that I had when I was a boy. And it's probably true. I mean, I missed that dog, but it was a coward.
What was school like for you as a child?
Well, school was great. It was just fantastic because we I was really taught about the land and mostly how to grow things and encourage. I make a bit of fun about that with the farmer because he's unable to grow anything. His farm is barren.
Were you a good student at school?
I never had any problems, of course. I mostly just observed and drew. I drew a lot in class, and I guess the teachers didn't mind that because I drew funny drawings.
At which age did you gain an interest in animation?
Oh, probably when I was 8 years old.
What was it that fueled this interest?
Oh, I don't know really. I don't know. I think it was just the motion of things. I was watching nature in motion, people in motion, the wind affecting trees, crops, plants, the clouds. Things were always moving.
Did you make any animations as a child?
No, no, I just drew a lot. I didn't start drawing until probably last year in high school. I mean, little bits of animation, and then seriously in first year of university.
Did you take academic education to learn animation, or are you entirely self-taught?
I'm a bit autodidactic. Uh, it's difficult for me to be told, um, instructed what to do. I have a real sensitivity to that because we're born free, and school's great, but also the ability to go out and explore and learn on your own, making my own decisions and opinions about direct experience.
When you started making animations as part of a professional career, what were your intentions?
Well, I was conscious of having animation make people laugh, so I wanted to do that immediately. Um, and then at the same time, I also felt compelled to try and express some deep thoughts and feelings I have about the world, how people relate to one another. So, what was my intention? Well, I guess it's just fame, really.
You have a unique and distinct visual style, but can you tell me who your influences are?
Oh yeah, sure. That goes. It's really they're classic, all classic, from Charlie Chaplin to Clampett and Tex Avery and the new age filmmakers, new wave filmmakers. Um, the work independent animation being done in the 70s and the 80s, East European animation, Russian animation. There's so much out there. And every time, I feel like every time experience art that jolts me, I always think back of pulling feathers off a chicken And with every feather you pull, you know that that skin just gets tweaked, sends an electrical shock through the nervous system of the animal. Huh? The aesthetic arrest.
Your animated short, The Chicken from Outer Space, was turned into a series called Courage the Cowardly Dog. What was it about Courage's universe that appealed to Cartoon Network, do you think?
Oh, I don't know. You'd have to analyze the demographics, really. I mean, what their agenda was, a corporate agenda. Who knows? I don't. Yeah, there's a lot of chatter about whether or not a show like Courage would even get made today. I feel like I was lucky.
You have claimed that a major influence on Courage the Cowardly Dog was the atomic age. What is it about the Cold War era that inspires your imagination?
I think it's the I think it's the fragility of life and the decisions being made in a far out place on life.
Now, Courage the Cowardly Dog fits in the horror genre, but unlike most horror products aimed at children, it was a genuinely unsettling show with a lack of a comfort zone. Was it your intention to effectively scare your audience?
Oh yes, but not so, but scare in such a way that um, there is a level of laughing at yourself being scared. Like, I think the best example I could give you is the pursuit of terrorizing one's mother by surprising her from out of a closet or under the bed. Hmm? I mean, that there is a bit of mischievous joy, seeing your mom scream.
Are there any dark fairy tales, horror novels, or horror films that influence your stories or visuals for the Courage the Cowardly Dog show?
uh, all of the horror films from again this atomic age period. I mean, these are wonderful stories. So, oh, wonderful about aliens, about the thing we know nothing about, and of course that ignorance is always threatening. And what I try to do in Purge, with of course my writers, my team, is prove that yeah, okay, there is that element that evil is evil, of course, but then evil could just simply be misunderstood and could have other agendas. There's always this dichotomy.
So, can you name any of the horror films or books or stories that influenced the show?
Yeah, I could, but it's like what Einstein says. He never had to memorize his phone number because he knew where to look for it.
You've made many animated shows, but are you interested in making an animated feature?
Uh, I've played with the idea, of course. I've played with the idea, and even invested some energy and resources into uh, making it, well, discovering whether or not that would be feasible, if that would happen. I've been to Hollywood and pitched a feature, and it was interesting. I liked it. I liked the idea. But unless I could make a feature film on my own without corporate influence, um, I don't know. It would be interesting. It would have to be the right kind of working environment. I would need a story that I want to tell in an hour and a half or 89 minutes or whatever it is. I like shorts also. Shorts are a great way to explore ideas. And maybe there's some shorts that have the depth to tell in a really long block of time. Also, I'm responsible for people's lives watching the time that they do spend watching my art. I mean, it's just a lot of time to demand from somebody. I would really hate to disappoint them. So would have to be very, very careful before I invest that life energy into it.
So, if you were to make a feature length film, what would it be about? What kind of film would it be?
Who knows? I mean, look at all the 104 Courage cartoons or the 13 independent short films. Who knows? Probably the themes of seeking the seeking of love, acceptance, um, courageousness. I mean, some of these virtues that I find.
What is it about animation that appeals to you?
Um, it's spontaneousness. It's acts of irrational reaction. It's non-linear, unexpected, unreasonable behavior. And this powerful component to make an audience laugh.
What do you think of the current state of Hollywood animation?
It must be extraordinary. Um, the technology is just overwhelming to view this, to experience the machines working, humans interacting with machines to bring about such images. Really, would be interesting. I don't know. It would be nice to see something psychedelic. Really. And also, I love the animation of interpretations of the solar system. This just knocks me out.
So would you say that you have an interest in astrology?
Well, to be fair, I don't know much about astronomy or astrology, but I'm attracted to the component of ancient myths. So there's connections in there.
What interests do you have outside of animation?
Dance, theater, um, humanitarian interests, environment, uh, global rights. Um, I mean, what could? There's just too many. Like it's just too much out there. It's too much not to get interested in.
Have you ever considered translating your love of nature into an animation?
Absolutely, absolutely. Courage. Nearly every theme is. I mean, if we were to go through the cartoons, we could discuss the themes of the cartoons, and they were all based on either current events or issues related to the human quality and motive. And for me, I mean, no matter what happened, the the family, the family was the most important element to retain.
So if family is an important aspect in Courage the Cowardly Dog, then would you say that you have admiration for such family sitcoms as King of the Hill, American Dad, or The Simpsons?
Uh, yeah, there would be families that are uh, going through some sort of crises together in their separate ways, and I mean struggle also in their separate ways to always come back to that center. Uh, it's a it's an it's idealized. It could be also a myth. I mean for me now it makes me ask questions of the idea of family. I mean, is family truly important? I mean, you would have to answer that for oneself. I mean, what? Obviously, it is. We all need it. If we don't, if it's not the family we're born into, it's one we create, and then that surrogate family is but a shadow of one that, again, is an ideal one. It's very complex stuff. That's why Courage lives with this dichotomy of this farmer Eustace, the dark, this just unempathetic, uncaring individual, and the goddess of good and encouragement, really.
Much of your work can be applied to the surrealism genre. Your 2005 film Life in Transition is a good example. Is it your intention to give your work an edge of abstract surrealism?
Well, had been rediscovering the work of Dali and the surrealist mindset and Dadaism and the reaction against overwhelming repression at the time. And I felt like I was also experiencing similar events in at the time of Life in Transition. It seemed like the world really was changing, and it did. And a bit of that affected me. And I thought Dali would be an interesting, I don't know, like a spirit guide through the film. Surrealism is really quite attractive to me. Yeah.
Why does surrealism attract you?
Well, in a sort of neo-surrealism, if we could get playful, because I'm interpreting the deep, this sort of like, the deep unconscious moving forward into animation and allowing just the unrational mind to create images. I hope that some part of the waking brain is able to capture and reproduce. I love the story about Dali, how he would hold a pencil in his hand, not a pencil, but I think a spoon in his fingertips, and while he was working, and just before he fell asleep, he would drop the pencil, of course, right, or the spoon, and he would retain that small moment of imagery just before he entered into a sleep state, and sort of paint that or use that material. And here, all we had to do was look out the window, look at the television, look at all those incredible images that were coming through.
Would you say that you're a spiritual person?
I tried Kundalini meditation, and that worked for a while. But I guess I failed at it. So well, I guess, yeah, no, yeah, but spiritual in a sense that's, I recognize this the wonder of it all. It's just this inconceivable rocks floating out right above my head. This thing, the moon, these planets. It's just too broad. It's just too big for us to discuss here on animation.
You've also provided animation and storyboard for such Nickelodeon series as Doug and Rugrats. What was your experience of working at Nickelodeon's animation department like?
Well, Doug was a client. The studio Jumbo Pictures, Jim Jenkins show, they were a client in my early days. When I was a lad, I would fund my short films by working on other shows, and I worked on Doug and Rugrats and Ren and Stimpy. They were all Nickelodeon shows. And my first introduction into corporate network animation was through Nickelodeon. And it was a great time too, because I met a fantastic executive and artist in her own right, Linda Saminsky, who championed courage from the very beginning. And it was a great time, just great time. I was young and a bit of a radical and just uninformed, ill-informed, idealistic, and I guess I got away with a lot. But then again, I don't know. I think I could have finessed my life a little better, made less enemies, I think.
What would you say are the key differences between working for a corporation and making a cartoon for yourself?
Well, the corporate working for a network is a much more narrow and rigid uh, process. I mean, it's too obvious. There are all sorts of, there's standards and practices. There's things that will not be tolerated on the network. Ideas and depictions. You can't show kicking a cat or transvestites. I mean, things like that. And once you get into that world, well, you can do anything you want as an independent filmmaker.
So, would you say that you felt restrictive when working for companies like Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network?
Well, no, only because the arrangement and the agreement is that we already know that this exists. You're going into it, agreeing to this collaboration. So, no, it's a job.
What importance do you believe lies in storyboard art?
Well, storyboarding has many components. Among them is the ability to just visualize ideas that may be too obscure for the non-visual mind, and even obscure to the artists themselves. Storyboarding is the visual writing of well, the mind, just coming out, really. Storyboarding allows you to see things. See things and pass those images on to others. You can see storyboards in Neolithic caves. You can see the story of the hunter, people coming out of the caves with their tools. You could see that they were even making tools, how they made them, how they went out into the plains, how they looked for the hoofed animals, how they threw their spears, missed some, caught others, how the floods came, how the skies changed. There's storyboards. They tell stories. It's vital. And then again, if the storyboard wasn't vital as a form of pre-visualization, it wouldn't factor so much even in modern times as we have today with the machines. Storyboards are essential. Try to. People should even storyboard their own lives, maybe. That's a great idea. I'm just thinking now, James. If you have trouble with some dilemma, some personal crises, you can even storyboard yourself figuring it out, maybe. Oh, maybe you need maybe one needs a good writer. Oh, that could be another thing. Oh, well, James, just another tangent.
Have you ever used animation to explore demons or travel into your own psyche?
Well, not so much demons, but Life in Transition is like this. The Dirty Birdie is like this. When Lily Laney moved in is like this. Recent films, experimental films like Bunny Bashing and Rinky Dink, for instance. I'm interested in exploring the obscure in my life. And and my own personal challenge is to try to make it so that it's not so esoteric as to exclude others. I guess I really am a little chagrined by my feelings that I'm not communicating to the universal soul, that Jung speaks of. He writes of this universal dream, not the personal, intimate. Oh my, how am I going to feed myself? These personal crises, that kind of stuff. I guess that's what I really. I guess that's it. That's it, James. You got it out of me, man. Oh, I feel so great now. Oh, what a relief. I just want to speak to the universe. Just like on the farm when you stand out in the middle of a field, James, and there's nothing around you, just nature. And you really do feel like you can talk to something out there. You can talk to the electric energy. What have you got? What's more?
When you look back on your career so far, what do you consider to be your proudest achievement?
It's not for me. The art's one thing. You know, it's the blunders that I've made in making the art with humans. So there's yeah, no, I never think about that. I don't know. This not in. I don't have a response. It's a great question. I love the question, but it's the pieces. The pieces are like the tide, like the ocean waves. No single one is worthy over the next one.
Do you have any goals for the future?
To remain alive for as long as I can.
How would you like to be remembered?
Why would I be forgotten?
Well, John, thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Jeez, this was great fun, James. Great fun. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
I hope that my listeners enjoyed this interview. Head to www.stretchfilms.com to find out more about John and his work. To me, John is an eccentric genius with a love of life and arts. He really fascinates me. If you'd like to find out more kind of stuff that I do, then head to jambareeqi.com. Thank you.